So as the name implies, these are just particles falling. But what if we wanted them to be something slightly different? Okay, maybe we want these to be monkeys or cubes. Well, we can easily do that. Basically, what we have to do first is we have to decide what's the object that we actually want simulated, okay? And right here I have a monkey on the left. Now I actually want all of these spheres to turn into monkeys instead. So I'm going to click back on my particle simulator. I'm going to go over to our render option right here. And you see it says render as halo. I can shuffle through these. I can make these whatever I want. If I click object though, and I go ahead and click on this little eyedropper tool here and select my monkey, now we have a bunch of little monkeys that are falling. And what's really cool is not only do we have monkeys falling instead of anything else, we can adjust the scale of these monkeys, the randomness of that scale, and so much more. Let me go ahead and play this back so you guys can see this. How cool is that? And you can make these anything that you want to. That's kind of the beauty of Blender in being able to select a specific object to emulate as your particle emulator. While this is very cool and all, what are some practical uses for this? Well, one of the first practical uses is to actually have these particles interact with something. So let's go ahead and add something to interact with. I'll simply add in a cube. I'll scale this down to make a giant platform. And I'll go ahead and rotate it a little bit so that our particles can slide off of it. Now if I press play, nothing happens. And that's because we didn't set anything up yet. So let me go ahead and click on my cube, go to my physics settings, and I'm going to add a collision. Now, if we play this back, we should get collision. And we do. And you can see that all of our particles, funny enough, will go ahead and bounce off. Now, again, there's a lot of settings that we need to talk about. But one of the most important ones is going to be in your physics settings themselves for the particle emitter. If we go to our physics tab, you go to forces, you can see there's a lot of different options here. Don't forget, you can also click on the actual platform itself, go to those physics, and you can take a look at the friction, bounciness, and all these different dampening options. Now, there's something else that's really interesting about collision objects. Not only can you have particles collide on them, but you can also have particles deleted when they hit a physics object. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll take this, all right, I'll go ahead and duplicate it, and let's try to intersect these other particles. Let's see where they're going to go. Let's go ahead and press play here. It looks like they're going to bounce off of this one now. Instead of bouncing off of this second platform, I actually want them to completely be eliminated here. To do that, all I have to do is I have to go to my physics settings on the right, and there's this little option that says kill particles. Go ahead and check that. Now, when I go back here, the particles shouldn't be able to bounce off this, but rather they're completely eliminated. And as you can see, this is a great way to stop your particle system if you want to start getting rid of particles at some point within your process. And this is a really good example here. You can see if I zoom in, you can see how the particles just completely stop right then and there. And this is a good way to kind of filter out certain particles or just have them stop altogether so that you don't overload Blender. Another really important thing to consider within our physics simulation is if you click on our particle system and you scroll all the way down, you'll see there's a lot of options. We're going to go into field weights. Field weights are exactly the same as I described before, but now we can adjust the actual effects of gravity on our physics simulation. This specific one though, so just these particles. I'm going to go ahead and lower gravity to about 0.3. Let's go ahead and play this back. You can see how much slower these obstacles fall. In fact, they don't even make it to this plane because they die before they can, okay? And that is because we set their lifetime to 100. So they'll die before we even hit the 100th frame. Now, don't forget that you can easily have another particle emitter. It doesn't have to be a plane either. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and add a cube to my scene. Okay, I could scale it down a little bit. And all I have to do here, all right, if I scale this on the z-axis, all I have to do is go to my particle emitters, add a new particle emitter, and if I click this little drop down right here, I can actually select any of my previous emitters. For example, this one right here is the exact same as my plane, all right? And if I want to, I can adjust it in any way I want. I can rotate it, and let's see what happens when we play this back. And just like that, I have multiple particle emitters emitting the exact same thing. And don't forget, we can also change the source of the emission itself. Right now, it's emitting from all faces, but if we switch this to vertices, we go back, you can see that only the vertices of our objects are emitting those particles. Very important, because you can get different effects depending on how you emit your particles.